So a few weeks ago over on the old community tab, I asked you for some of your most unpopular and controversial wrestling opinions. Okay, it was a topic that was brought up during a few live chats, so I decided, you know what, let's have some fun. I always get a chance to talk about my own wrestling opinions, and today I want to hear from you guys. However, before we get into my reaction to your answers, I do want to point out that this, ladies and gentlemen, is all about just the fun entertainment world known as professional wrestling, okay? You shouldn't be taking any of this way too seriously. So if somebody has an opinion that you disagree with, sure, you can point it out in the comments, but please don't go around hating each other and calling each other names, okay? We don't want to have that negative aura surrounding the comment section, because that just sucks, and it's not fun for anybody. And to kick us off is Mr. J Pax, who says, the Hurt Business sucks with MVP, and they should remove him. We're already kicking off with an opinion that I kind of disagree with, okay? MVP, he's always been my guy. I have always loved MVP, even when I was a kid and I couldn't really formulate my own wrestling opinions just because I was too little to do so, okay? His peak was in 2006, 2007. I would have been like 6 or 7 at that time, and even back then, I just remember just being so transfixed on MVP, okay? His run as the United States champion, like in my head, he is the definitive US champion for me, and honestly, MVP, he's just a good guy, and I really love him, and I think him being the leader of the Hurt Business makes a lot of sense for his character. But yeah, moving on, there are also some people who decide to answer not only multiple times, but to answer with multiple opinions in the same comment, just like this guy, Rudy Butler. And we got a few things to talk about, so let's get into it. Edge's return at the Royal Rumble wasn't even good. I highly disagree with that one. Edge returning during that Rumble might have been, at least for me, one of the biggest pop-worthy returns of my life. He's great. He's absolutely great. I don't see why anybody could, not like Edge returning. Okay, I'm so happy for him. Maybe if he didn't have the spear, I would love him even more, but, that's just kind of the thing. Not only that, but he also has to say that he likes heel Drew McIntyre more than face Drew McIntyre. I'm pretty, in between on that. I like him as a face and a heel, so I have no real complaints about that. And the WWE is way worse than WWF. That is a lot to unpack, because WWF also includes the 80s and the early 90s, which a lot of people don't particularly love. The early 90s, and of course the Attitude Era, which everybody seems to love. In terms of, peak popularity and global appreciation, WWF was way better, but in ring, I think WWE is better. Next up, this is Aaron Does Gaming. Now, he's got a few answers in here, and I kind of agree with a lot of them. When Undisputed Era come up to the main roster, Owens should join them and replace Cole or O'Reilly. Now, I think Kevin Owens joining the Undisputed Era is not a terrible idea. Obviously, this is more of a fantasy booking idea, and I love Kevin Owens. He sometimes feels relevant and sometimes doesn't. He's always in between mid-card and super main event. He's always in that range, but he always feels like he's kind of around. And I think Owens joining the Undisputed Era could be interesting. I've been saying it for a while. I think the Undisputed Era are going to start breaking up in NXT. Not that I really want that. I love them as a group. But if Owens were to replace anybody, I'd probably have him replace Adam Cole. And then he, kind of becomes the new leader-ish of the Undisputed Era. But even then, I don't know if I really want that. I love Owens. I love the Undisputed Era. But I don't know if I really want them to mesh together. Following that, this is from Carleen Murnane, I believe that's how you pronounce it. Kenny Omega is just a replacement for AJ Styles and Finn Balor. I know that there was some talks from Tony Khan in AEW saying that AJ Styles, Gallows, and Anderson were all supposed to show up on the debut episode of Dynamite. I guess in that sense, I could totally see your argument with Kenny Omega being a replacement for them, and also he was kind of a replacement for them in the Bullet Club, too sweet, bro. So, I mean, you're not wrong. But now we're moving back over to Rudy Butler, who says that Kyle, I assume Kyle O'Reilly, is the greatest technical wrestler of all time. That is a strong, a very strong opinion. That he's pretty up there. I can't be mad at that opinion. I cannot be mad at that opinion. I know everybody says Daniel Bryan's the guy, but I don't know. I like Daniel Bryan too, but Kyle O'Reilly, he's steadily becoming one of my favorites right now. Aaron Does Gaming again says that if McIntyre retains at WrestleMania, Walter should be brought up for a one-time champion versus champion match. That would be so damn cool. I 100% agree with that one. I would 100% agree with that. That would be so awesome. Their chests would go from like bright orange to blue. They're just so many chops. Oh my god. If Walter versus McIntyre were to happen, I would want to be very similar to the Walter versus Dragunov match over in NXT UK at the tail end of last year. Last one from Aaron Does Gaming. What can I say? I really like a lot of his comments. He says that Karrion Kross should win the NXT title, lose it to Demon Balor, and then face The Fiend at WrestleMania 38. This is one of those more fantasy booking things. Karrion Kross. I like Karrion Kross. I like his presentation more than his in-ring stuff. Kross losing to Demon Balor would be cool, but I think then Finn would be a babyface. I think if he was going to fight against Karrion Kross, he would have to be a babyface since Kross, in my opinion, is more of a heel character. The Fiend is a very difficult person to fantasy book. I even find it when writing Universe Mode episodes, that he's a very difficult wrestler to sort of book with, because he's so powerful. Like, that's the thing. He's so unbelievably powerful that him losing to anybody seems weird. And it's kind of a gimmick that I don't know if it works in the long term. But Karrion Kross facing The Fiend at WrestleMania 38, why not? Sounds fun. Back to Rudy Butler, he says that Fish and Strong should leave the Undisputed Era. No, I don't think so. I think Bobby Fish would really flounder on his own. He's good, but compared to all of his Undisputed Era cohorts, he's not portrayed the best. He's pretty underrated, and I think if he were to leave, like, I think him and Kyle should be, like, stuck together like glue. I think they should really be together. Like, almost Street Profits level, always a tag team. So yeah. Back to one of those multi-layered answers. Okay, this person, look at Joseph Mann, says, with his multiple opinions. Opinion number 1 is Liv Morgan should turn heel on Ruby Riott. Sure, why not? I don't know. I like Liv. I don't know why people love her so much, but I like her. I like Ruby Riott as well. But again, people seem to really love Liv Morgan. I don't get it. Maybe you can tell me why in the comments, why people really love her. But yeah, Becky Lynch will be the best WWE women's wrestler of all time. I don't know. I don't think so. In the long term, it might be Charlotte, and I know people don't want that, but I think it might be Charlotte. And the Street Profits push should never end. Exactly. Montez Ford straight to the top of the company. Montez Ford, alongside Angelo Dawkins as his second, but Montez Ford needs to win the WWE title in his lifetime. Within the next decade, he needs to climb that ladder and win the damn title, because it would be so great. And this next one comes in from Jacob with a problem that I believe is more WWE specific, as he says that heels are way better than faces, with heel wrestlers being great until they turn face. It's hard to argue that, but it's also hard to, be associated with that opinion. Because look at Daniel Bryan, look at Steve Austin, look at all these guys who were huge baby faces, and every week you would want to see them specifically. So yeah, I can't really say that. But on the other side, I think heels, especially in WWE, are more layered in terms of their character. They kind of have more of a freedom, because wrestling in the end is a competition, and if babyfaces don't act like they are competing, which WWE faces don't really do unless they're in NXT, then it's harder to get into them because they're always like, they always gotta smile and they're like, hey, I love it. Next up from Chine Dumb 123, Lashley, Bobby Lashley, that big boy right there is better than Drew McIntyre, I guess in every way except for on the mic. It's not a terrible argument. I can totally see where he's coming from. I think on most fronts, Bobby Lashley might be a little bit better than McIntyre. Not that I don't love McIntyre, and I love Bobby Lashley, but he might have a point. Obviously, McIntyre probably, better on the mic, but that's why you stick with people with mouthpieces like Lesnar and Heyman, and Lashley and MVP. So, yeah, you know what? I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that opinion. I can kind of get it. And lastly, our final answer from Carlene once again saying that Goldberg deserves the title opportunities he gets. No. Just because somebody was a legend previously does not mean that he needs to have a title now. Goldberg also, he's like a one-trick pony. You just want to see the one thing he can do, which is spear somebody, and before the greatest brainbuster of all time, the jackhammer, Goldberg, sure, he was a top draw, he was a top champion, he deserved what he got at the time when he was super hot. Now, he's not, and Goldberg doesn't really need to be around anymore. So yeah, Carlin, gonna have to disagree with you on that. But yeah, that's it in terms of your unpopular wrestling opinions. Let me know down in the comments what you think. And hell, if you want me to do a part 2, let me know some more of your unpopular opinions. I wouldn't mind continuing this, maybe even starting it as a series if you guys have a lot to talk about. But until next time, if you guys like this video, please let me know by hitting the like button down below. Comment anything you want to comment. Subscribe if you haven't already. Yes, I put the pencil down. Subscribe if you haven't already, but if you have, why not hit the bell to be notified of everything we do here on GrappleNation? Of course, my name is Dominic, and have a good day. Bye-bye.